Republican Senator John Kennedy, who sits on the Senate Judiciary and Budget Committee, joins me now. Senator, good to have you with us tonight. That's an exchange between Texas and New York that illustrates, sort of how this conversation is going. What do you expect to see when all of your colleagues are back? And what are you willing to do something as everybody wants these days?
Here is my starting point, Martha. I believe that love is the answer, but I also own a handgun just in case. In fact, I own several, shotguns too. That's my right under our Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is not an a la carte menu. The Second Amendment is just as important as all the other amendments. Now, some of my colleagues argue that by further curtailing our Second Amendment rights, they can enhance public safety. Fine. The burden of proof is on them. I'm willing to have that debate, but I want the bacon without the sizzle. No speculation, no false comfort, no pulling stuff out of your orifices. Show me causal scientific evidence that mass shootings are going to be reduced or prevented.
All right. I'm just curious because you just told us about the guns that you own. Do you own an AR-15?
I don't, but I have the right to.
Do you think, would you want one, or why do you think people would want one? I know a lot of people like to use them for recreation purposes, and not just self-defense. But and you say that they should have the right to do that.
I don't think it's government's place to ask why. I don't think it's government's place to ask why I might say something in a particular sentence in a letter to the editor of the newspaper. That's my constitutional right. Now, we know that our rights are not absolute. Our rights can be curtailed in the interest of, for example, public safety. But the proponents of the legislation are saying, well, public safety will be enhanced if we do X. And all I'm saying is, okay, we're talking about a constitutional right here. Prove it.
Right.
How many mass shootings?
That some of those rights, have been curtailed, as you put it before. This is a look at what it was like during the ban. This is a graph that shows mass shooting deaths, which they define as more than 4 people killed. And it dipped a little bit after 1993. I think we have that. There we go. So the area that's in the middle is the 10-year period during the assault weapons ban. And the period after that is 2005 to 2017, where, just by my eye, it looks like it about triples, maybe a little bit more than that. What do you say to that?
I say that correlation is not necessarily causation. Look, here's where I'm starting from, and I think in dealing with any constitutional right, you have to start by saying the burden is on the government. When a jihadist blows up a school, we are told, don't blame all Muslims because of the act of one. And I agree with that. I agree with that. How come the same rule doesn't apply to the 100 million people in America who choose to exercise their constitutional rights? I think it does. I would also make the point that if you really want to do something for public safety with respect to guns, fix the current database, the current NICS database, as we call it.
Yes.
You know where we get the information? From the states. A lot of states don't send in the information. There are holes in the current database.
There absolutely are.
You could drive a Humvee through.
No, I think,
if you extend the database, how do you know it's going to be reported?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that is worth talking about. That the shooter in Texas in the church fell through the cracks in that regard, and I know that there have been some moves on the part of the administration to close some of those NICS loopholes. So that is definitely something that is worth discussing.
Well, there are no loopholes to close, Martha. The states just need to turn over the information. Now, I'll tell you part of the reason they don't turn over the information. They're worried about violating federal law. We have a federal law, as you know, called HIPAA, which protects people's medical records. And so a lot of states are scared that if they turn over information about mental illness, that they'll be sued under HIPAA.
Yeah. The Odessa shooter was rejected in a background check, a federal background check that already exists on the basis of mental health back in 2014. And then he passed, someone sold him privately the gun that he used to kill in Odessa, despite the fact that he obviously had severe mental health issues. And some people want to close that. They want you to have to produce that paperwork, even in a private sale. Are you against that?
Well, I listened to the exchange between the two members of Congress, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez and Congress. I forget the other.
It was Dan
Congressman's
Crenshaw,
name.
Congressman Crenshaw.
Ben Crenshaw, yeah, good man. Listen, I listened to their exchange. I would remind both of them, though, that just because we pass more laws, that doesn't mean that they're going to be followed and therefore reduce gun violence. Let me tell you a secret. Criminals obey gun laws like politicians keep promises. Now, you go into the inner city, for example, in Chicago or New Orleans in my state, and you say, well, guns now, by private sale, you have to check the recipient of the gun purchaser out, and you have to pay a $30 fee. Do you think they're going to, the criminals are going to abide by that? Of course not. Yeah. Of course not.
I get your point. I get your point.
All I'm saying is, show me the proof.
All right, Senator, always good to see you.
And we shouldn't blame this on Trump either. We shouldn't blame this on Trump. This is a congressional decision. I find what the president says to be persuasive but not dispositive. This is Congress's decision.
Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Kennedy. Good to see you tonight, as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Martha.